Is Mace Windu alive? Legendary actor Samuel L. Jackson just revealed yet again that he believes Mace survived this fall in Revenge of the Sith, and his reasoning makes a whole lot of sense and could lead to one of the biggest what-ifs in Star Wars becoming a reality. Could we really be hearing the line,
somehow
Mace Windu?
returned?
And if Samuel L. Jackson gets his way and Mace does return, where would he show up? And how would they explain where he's been for all these years? Well, we'll get to all that in this video, but first, let's start with what Sam actually said.
This is where the fun begins.
While promoting his new project, The Piano Lesson, on Jimmy Fallon's The Tonight Show, the topic of Star Wars and his character of Mace Windu was brought up yet again. And when asked if his character survived this fall, Sam Jackson said this: "There's a history alone, history of one-armed, one-handed people in the Star Wars universe. So just cause they cut off my arm and I fell out a window doesn't mean I'm dead. I'm a Jedi, the second most powerful Jedi in the universe next to Yoda, so I can float." Now what he's saying here is the truth. Many Star Wars characters throughout the history of the Star Wars galaxy have survived their hand or arm being chopped off. And we've seen a lot of characters survive a fall just like this. From Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes Back, to Palpatine in Return of the Jedi, to even Darth Maul, who was cut in half in The Phantom Menace. So Samuel L. Jackson is not wrong. In Star Wars, as the great Luke Skywalker once said,
No one's ever really gone.
and it's clear that a lot of Star Wars fans would love to see the character of Mace Windu return, as this death scene in Revenge of the Sith happened in 2005, almost 20 years ago. And over those last 20 years, fans have been coming up with crazy what-if scenarios for what if Mace Windu survived. Now for me, I've always been on the side of no, keep Mace Windu dead, he shouldn't come back. And the reasoning isn't because he can't survive that fall, I think he could. Because if you listen closely in this scene, he's still alive when he gets thrown out the window. You hear him grunt before he gets thrown out. And that Force lightning is powerful, but we've seen characters survive that in the past too. Luke Skywalker getting a whole lot more of that Force lightning in Return of the Jedi. But the reasoning I thought he could never come back was because Mace Windu is not in anything else. After Revenge of the Sith, there's so many projects that Mace Windu would have shown up in if he had survived this fall. From the original trilogy to the Obi-Wan Kenobi show to Star Wars Rebels to Rogue One to Andor to the Bad Batch to The Mandalorian. At some point over the course of the next 30 years in the Star Wars timeline, if Mace Windu was alive, he would have shown up. So for years, I've been on the side of no way Mace Windu is dead for good, he should not come back. However, during a live stream yesterday on this channel, with the help of our incredible community, shout out to John Groom, we came out with two insane theories on how Mace Windu could survive this fall, and these two theories could explain where he's been for all these years. Because the most likely place Mace Windu is going to show up if he does return is not right after Order 66. Because if Vader and the Inquisitors are hunting him down, that means that the Empire knows Mace Windu is alive, and they won't stop hunting him down until he's dead. And if you're gonna bring back Mace Windu, you're not gonna kill him off right away, or else what's the point? The only logical place that Mace Windu could show up is in the Mandoverse, years after the original trilogy, after the Empire has fallen. And in this part of the timeline, Mace Windu could show up in multiple projects. From Skeleton Crew to Ahsoka Season 2 to a possible Book of Boba Fett Season 2, Mace could play a role in all of that, having a relationship with Ahsoka Tano, of course killing Boba Fett's father. Although it's almost 30 years after Order 66, Mace Windu still has connections to some of these characters. Which brings us to our first theory, a connection that we didn't know about. Now, the big thing they would have to explain if Mace Windu returned is where he was during the events of the original trilogy. But there are countless Mandoverse characters that we don't know where they were during the original trilogy either. From Ahsoka Tano to Din Djarin to the whole Ghost crew, or at least what's left of it. And of course, the biggest one being Grogu. Now, this first theory is all about Mace Windu training Grogu. In The Mandalorian Season 3, we see Grogu survive Order 66 with the help of Kelleran Beck. This Jedi, played by Ahmed Best, saves Grogu from the Jedi Temple and takes him away on a Naboo starship. However, when we first get introduced to Grogu in The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 1, he is captured by some pirates. So a lot must have happened to Grogu in those 28 years between Order 66 and the beginning of The Mandalorian Season 1. We don't know how much time he spent with Kelleran Beck, and we don't know how he ended up with these pirates. But what we do know is that we don't know. We don't know where Grogu was during the original trilogy, just like we wouldn't know where Mace Windu was during the original trilogy if he came back. So a possible explanation for where Mace Windu was this entire time could be that he was protecting the future of the Jedi Order. Just like Obi-Wan was protecting Luke on Tatooine as Luke was a new hope, Mace Windu could be protecting Grogu, as Grogu could be the key to secure the future for the Jedi for the next 800 years. And that would be a pretty important mission if Mace Windu was protecting him. But that theory has a few flaws in it. One, how did Mace Windu lose Grogu to the pirates right before The Mandalorian Season 1? And two, why was he not the Jedi who came to find Grogu in The Mandalorian Season 2? Because if he was supposed to be protecting this child, he's not doing a great job of it. But this second theory brings us to the possibility of seeing Mace Windu in the next live-action Star Wars show, Skeleton Crew. So this theory involves somebody finding Mace Windu almost dead on Coruscant. It could be any number of characters who finds him. Could be a Jedi who survived Order 66. But this character would find Mace Windu and put him in a bacta-tank to help him heal. Not only to help him heal from his arm being cut off, or all the Force lightning, but also the fall. And we've seen in recent Star Wars projects bacta-tanks be able to do some incredible healing. In the Book of Boba Fett, we see Boba go from this to this. But this is where the theory gets crazy. Whoever saved Mace Windu, let's just say it's a Jedi who survived Order 66, is going to die, and that character will be the only one who knows where Mace Windu was. So Mace will remain there in the bacta-tank healing for the next 30 years. Now before you say, Mike, this sounds crazy, there's no way he could have survived in a bacta-tank for 30 years. We just saw this happen in Jedi Survivor. One of the main villains of this incredible story following Cal Kestis was a High Republic Jedi named Dagan who survived hundreds of years in this bacta-tank. So it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility to see Mace Windu survive 30 years in a bacta-tank, which brings us to the Skeleton Crew. Somebody has to find this bacta-tank that Mace Windu is in and save him. And what better than a group of 4 kids led by Jude Law's Jedi character, Jod Nawood. Skeleton Crew is a weird show. It comes out in 41 days and we know so little about it. But maybe we know so little because there's going to be some huge surprises coming our way. And it may sound crazy, it may sound too good to be true, but what if these kids happened upon Mace Windu in a bacta-tank? Luke Skywalker, say it again.
No one's ever really gone.
In Star Wars, people have come back from way worse. Darth Maul falling to his doom, cut in half, survived. Anakin Skywalker, his limbs get cut off, he burns alive, survived. And of course, we all know
somehow Palpatine returned.
So it is possible for Mace Windu to survive this fall. But even if he did, the question still remains, where was he during the original trilogy in this Mandoverse era? Because let's be honest, if Samuel L. Jackson wants to come back and play Mace Windu and the fans want it too, how are you going to say no to that? Tell me in the comment section below. Do you want a Mace Windu show? Do you want Mace Windu to come back? And how do you think they will explain it if he does? Tell me in the comments below. And speaking of what ifs, check out this what if I just did of what if Grogu stayed with Luke Skywalker in the Book of Boba Fett.